If you think turning your pain into a personal brand is healing, well, you've been sold a lie. And this one's going to sting, but I'm sure you may need to hear it. So let's go straight for the nerve. You don't need to make your trauma your brand. You don't need to bleed on the internet all over social media to prove that you're growing. You don't need to monetize your wounds to make them matter. This idea that healing has to be public, it has to be curated and performative, this idea is toxic and it's dangerous and it's turning mental health into an aesthetic. So let me guess, you've seen it everywhere, right? The healed girl era, reels, the soft pink captions about rising from the ashes, and the tearful confessions wrapped in lo-fi music and perfectly placed candles. And if you're not doing it too, part of you wonders, am I even healing? Am I even doing it right? So let me tell you something loud and clear. Healing is not a show. It's not a content strategy, and it's not something you owe to anyone, even your followers, even those people that see you on the social media. So where did this start? Around 2016, Instagram culture collided with trauma discourse. Suddenly, therapy speak became aesthetic. Words like boundaries, narcissist, triggered, and gaslighting, it started trending, mostly divorced from their clinical meanings. And social media platforms loved it because nothing drives engagement like pain that's easy to consume. And we have trained people to package their trauma for applause, to turn their breakdowns into storytelling, to collapse vulnerability and marketing into one blurry mess. But let's be clear here. That's not healing. That's exposure. And here's the science. According to 2018, I think, study published in Clinical Psychological Science, premature disclosure of trauma, especially in non-safe or public environments, which is internet, can re-traumatize individuals and hinder long-term recovery. Healing requires safety. It requires containment. It requires space to fall apart without being perceived, judged, or liked. And when your trauma becomes your identity online, you yourself become trapped in the algorithm of your own pain. And that's not empowerment. That's exploitation. It's exploitation of yourself. But isn't storytelling powerful, you might ask me? Well, yes, when it's intentional, when it's integrated, when it comes after you've processed, not instead of processing. And there is a psychological term for the opposite. It's called co-rumination, when we dwell on negative experiences with others in a way that feels intimate but keeps us stuck. It creates a sort of a loop of emotional overexposure, if you like. And it feels like connection, but in reality, it's stagnation dressed up as sharing. And social media is built to reward that exact loop. And your story is sacred. It's not content. It's not supposed to be public. You are under no obligation to monetize your wounds, to trauma dump for reach, to cry on camera just to prove you are authentic. And you don't owe the algorithm your grief. You don't need to turn your pain into your productivity tool. You don't have to be raw for strangers to believe that you are actually real. You know what's actually powerful? Healing in private, growing in silence, setting boundaries not just with people, but with platforms. So what next? Well, stop giving the internet access to parts of you that are still bleeding. and start asking yourself, is this post for me? Or is it just for validation? Am I sharing from a scar or still inside the wound? Would I be okay if no one responded or if I got some negative feedback on my post? Because if your healing only feels real when it's witnessed, it might not be healing yet. You don't have to brand your pain to reclaim your power. You don't have to explain your trauma to deserve peace. You don't have to turn your life into a carousel post to mean something. Let healing be quiet again. Let growth be sacred. And let privacy be power. And if that makes you less relatable, as one might say, well, good. You're not a product. You are a person. Remember that. High fly with me.